Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Justin. We're back at the movies for another review. Today, we're going to be doing the 1991 crime drama One Good Cop, starring Michael Keaton, Rene Russo, Anthony Paglia, and Benjamin Bratt. I remember seeing this movie for the first time when I was much younger, and I love Michael Keaton, one of my all-time favorite actors. And there are parts of this, I love his performance, but the movie is lacking in a lot of ways. Quick overview of the plot. Michael Keaton and Anthony Paglia are detectives in the New York Police Department. And they've been partners for 8 years. Now, Rene Russo and Michael Keaton are married. They can't have kids. They want kids. Paglia has 3 daughters, but he's a widower. His wife has died. They don't really mention how. We just know that he has 3 daughters by himself. Unfortunately, his character is killed in the line of duty, and he, in his will, has said that he wants Keaton and Russo to be the adoptive parents of the 3 daughters. However, they are not allowed to adopt these kids because they live in a small apartment, and they need to have a house in order to be able to adopt the children. And this is where it gets kind of messy. They don't have the money, despite the fact that Michael Keaton has been a police officer now for 8 years in the New York Police Department. And I researched this. So, despite the fact this is a fictional movie, a brand new officer to the New York Police Department in 1990 would have been making $35,000 a year. He had 8 years in as a detective, so you would have to figure he's probably making significantly more money than that. And truth be told, I don't recall what Rene Russo's character did, but they live in this rinky-dink apartment. Granted, they weren't prepared to have kids. They weren't even going to be able to have kids, and then they got 3 new ones. But then they got to put a $25,000 down payment on a house. How do they not have $25,000? He's a police officer. She has a job. They live in a small apartment. They should have this money, but miraculously they don't. And he loves these 3 daughters so much that he is willing to rip off a drug dealer for the money. And he ends up stealing $250,000 from a well-known drug dealer. He uses $25,000 to pay for the house, and he gives the rest to an orphanage. The drug dealer naturally finds out who potentially stole his money, and there's torture scenes involved, and alas, one of his main associates is actually an undercover police officer. And they take out the bad guys, and it culminates with, they know he stole the money. He's going to resign because he knows he's eventually going to get arrested. However, the priest of this orphanage, it's also a church, returns most of the money, and then his other fellow police officers are going to make up the $25,000 that he stole. They all have the money. He doesn't, despite the fact no kids, but that's where it's silly. And, despite the fact they know he stole, they're short on cops, so out of respect to his former partner and wanting to make sure these kids have a family to grow up in, he gets to keep his job. So it's silly. It's far-fetched. And, unfortunately, it's one of the weaker movies of Michael Keaton's career. I still love his performance. There's a couple of scenes, like there's a scene where he's got a bloody nose and it looks like it's a broken nose, but he's like acting like a badass because Michael Keaton is a badass when he wants to be. He's also a funny son of a bitch. And there's some funny scenes in this movie too. But overall, the movie is lacking. And it's a silly, convoluted story for the most part. Is it a bad movie? No. But I can't, even as much as I love Michael Keaton as an actor, I can't put it in the good movie category. It's right there, right on that line between bad and okay. But because it's Michael Keaton, I'm going to be generous and I'm going to give it a 6.1. His performance keeps it out of the bad movie category, and it gets a 6.1. You know, that's only because I love Michael Keaton. Like, I could justifiably see why it would be considered a bad movie by a lot of people, but it's Michael Keaton. He gets the benefit of the doubt. So 1991's One Good Cop, 6.1, and that's being generous. That's my review. If you guys like this video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time at the movies. Take care.